What's up, YouTube? It's Event Rentals there in here, and today we have a very special video and some very special guests. We are at Continent Wide, Canada's largest supplier of dye sub everything. And here we have the dye sub dudes. Let me introduce them.
I'm Dice Up Daddy.
And I'm Dice Up Danny.
And they have so much experience and so much knowledge when it comes to this stuff. So for all my photo boothers, for all your printing needs, make sure to keep watching because we got a lot of good stuff planned. So in today's video, we'll be answering the question that I get the most. What is the best printer? But before we get into that, I want to introduce Gary, Mr. Dice Up Daddy, a little bit more. So why don't you tell us about yourself?
Okay. I'm Gary, as those who get to know me. And I've been in the photo world since I was born. When we started, it was primarily film and conventional film, analog film. And disposable cameras and batteries, but eventually we have evolved into offering dye sub printers. So I've kind of watched as dye sub printers came online as a way of printing, and then shortly thereafter, people started using them in photo booths. That's probably about 10 years ago. So I've been kind of with the whole growth of photo booth business and the use of dye sub printers in that. So that's me.
Yeah, I'm telling you, when I first got into the industry and I was looking for a printer, I came to Gary and he honestly really helped me. Why don't we actually get into it now and talking about what is the best printer? Now, this question seems very obvious, but I want to go a little bit deeper into it. Talk about what's the best printer for someone who's a beginner, what's the best printer for someone who is maybe with some experience, and what's kind of the most versatile, more high-end printer. And today we'll be focusing on the DNP brand. All right, so Gary, what would you say is the best DNP printer for a beginner, someone who's just getting into the business?
Well, this is going to be the QW410. It's the least expensive printer in terms of the hardware cost. It is nice and compact. It's easy to use and easy to load. It's a good choice. Usually somebody's moving up from a selfie or something like that. This is definitely a big improvement. It uses a roll of paper and a ribbon, so it's a different experience than a selfie for sure.
Okay, and what would you say are, I don't want to necessarily say the cons, but what are things to be conscious of with this printer?
Well, it prints slower than the other printers. It has a higher cost per print, and if you want to do photo booth strips, you have to use a different paper and ribbon.
Okay, so now that we covered which printer you would recommend for someone who's a beginner, let's talk about what's the best DNP printer for someone who has more experience, who has more bookings, and wants something with a bit more power.
Well, the DNP RX1 HS, this one actually just says RX1, but it's RX1 HS, has been a really popular choice with photo booth people, primarily because it's got a lower cost per print and it's pretty fast. It's faster than this one. The load size is 700 4x6s in one roll of paper. That's not necessarily a huge advantage unless you're doing a long event, because it shouldn't be moved with it in. But has been very good for that purpose, because it's low cost, relatively fast, and it's less expensive than the top of the line one. So that's been a good choice. It prints at around 13 seconds for a 4x6. If you want to do strips, it'll cut it. And as I say, it's about 700 prints. The paper is slightly thinner than the QW410 and the 620, the top of line one. And do keep in mind that whatever printer, you have to use that specific model's paper and ribbon. They're not interchangeable. So if you buy a QW410 and this one, you can't move the paper back and forth. It's one or the other.
Okay, and then what would you say are like the cons of this model?
Well, it's big. It's bulky. That would be the biggest reasons that it's not ideal. And it needs to be put into a nice box, so it makes it even bigger. I would say that's the biggest reason. It also doesn't have as many media choices as the next one up. So if you're looking long term and you want to offer more choices, then the next one up is a consideration. So
Now, what about the more sophisticated boother? Someone who is willing to invest a little bit more and just wants some more capabilities and maybe more speed.
well, the DNP DS620A is the top of the line, and it's hard to qualify whether sometimes a beginner might jump in and say, listen, I want the best one. I just want the best one because they don't want to upgrade. They just want the top of the line, and this is the top of the line one. There's no better printer on the market today. So what makes it the best? Well, it's the fastest. It's about 10 seconds for a 4x6. It's a very robust construction in terms of the printer itself, and the paper is the traditional thickness. Plus, it has the widest choices of paper and ribbon. Things like the perforated one, which is used for sports cards. We also have metallic, which looks great in black and white. And they also have one silver pearl, also looks very nice. And it also does panoramics. The load size is smaller, so there's only 400 4x6s in the load size, whereas the RX1 has 700. So, if you're doing a 5-hour event, you don't want to change media, then the RX1's a better choice for that. But most people, when they're doing a 3-hour event, are not going to burn up 700 prints.
So myself personally, one of the biggest reasons why I ultimately went with the DNP RX1HS was because of this little device right here, the WCM Plus, which allows me to print remotely because I use an iPad booth. So Gary, why don't you tell us a little bit more about this magical device?
Okay. It As Aaron said, this is very, very good choice to be able to print from an iPad. Many people have come from just doing digital events with an iPad. If you want to print, there's only a couple of ways, and this is by far the most convenient way. So it's a little wireless device that works with any DNP printer. It's actually very sophisticated. It has all the drivers built in that you would ever need. You can hook it up. It creates its own Wi-Fi hotspot. It doesn't require the internet. If you can get it onto the internet, then you can also text pictures too, or email. So that it's very flexible. If you are also wanting to, you could hardwire it. That's another story. But basically, it's a wireless device that works with any DNP printer with your iPad software. Some of the companies like Lumabooth and Booth.events, they have videos and tutorials on how to hook it up to it because it's become so popular.